I opened the car door, my hands trembling from the cold. The smell of grilled meat and waffles wafted from the house, mingling with the damp air. My heart raced, as if I were 16 again, both eager and nervous. I hadn't been home in over 8 months. This Christmas, I thought, would be different. I entered through the back door as usual, my footsteps echoing on the wooden floor. No one ran to hug me like they used to. No cheers, no surprised smiles. Only my mother standing by the kitchen counter, stirring a pot of cranberry sauce, turning to look at me as if I'd arrived a bit early. "Oh, Emily." "You're here," she said, flashing a quick, emotionless smile before returning to the stove. A second later, she exclaimed as if remembering something crucial. "Oh, I forgot to mention your seat at the table is for Ethan today. He helped me get a 10% discount on the catering. It's actually nice. He knows everyone." Ethan, my ex-boyfriend, the one I broke up with 2 years ago after discovering he used my credit card to sign up for yoga classes taught by his new girlfriend. I couldn't react. Not a word came out. I just stood there, my eyes fixed on the meticulously set dining table. Each wine glass had a handwritten name tag tied to a small pine sprig. None read Emily. I wasn't listed, wasn't invited. My sister Kara approached, handing me an aluminum tray full of food. "Hold this for now so you don't feel left out." No plate, no fork, just a tray, in my hands. I nodded, mechanically turned, and walked back out the door, leaving the kitchen filled with lively laughter and not a single question about me. Outside it was colder than I remembered. I opened the car, placed the tray on the passenger seat. The air inside was as frozen as my mood. I didn't turn on the heater. I wanted to feel the cold, let it seep into my bones so I wouldn't forget. That's when I realized I had always been the one quietly carrying this family, and the first to be sacrificed when convenient. I'm Emily, 33, living in San Francisco, a CFO for a tech startup. Unmarried, no kids, but I have responsibilities. I send money home every month. I pay for James's tuition, Kara's rent, and sometimes even Mom's car insurance. I never complained. I thought as long as they were happy, I was part of it. But today, for the first time, I doubted that. I didn't see myself in any part of that picture. I didn't see myself in this house anymore. I ate mashed potatoes from the tray in the car, the plastic spoon bending like my emotions. Outside the house glowed with light Christmas music echoing from the living room window, the clink of glasses, Ethan's soft laughter. No one noticed I was gone. Something inside me began to crack, not because of the seat, not because of Ethan, but because of everything I'd given never once acknowledged. I pulled out my phone, scrolled through the banking app. I saw the automatic transactions, $1, $200 recurring transfer for family rent support, $320 monthly tuition, $198 Uber for emergency ride Kara. I tapped each line. Cancel recurring transfer. Revoke access. Close sub-account. No guilt. Just a cold calm like the first snow falling on my windshield. My phone pinged with a message. From Mom. "Thanks for coming. Bring some Christmas spirit next time." I laughed. A small, short laugh that faded quickly. I opened the trunk, looked at the carefully labeled gifts for Mom, Scottish wool scarf for Kara, Korean skincare set for James, ESAT prep books, and noise-canceling headphones. I didn't remove the labels. I just closed the trunk. Tomorrow I'd send them off each box to each person. No card, no note, just goods, like how they treated me. In my heart, it wasn't anger. It was emptiness. A bitter realization that I'd been excluded from my family long ago, and today I was just officially informed. I started the car. The headlights illuminated the snowy yard. The tires turned slowly as I glanced back at the house. No one stood to see me off. No eyes searched for me. Everything continued as if I'd never been there. On the radio, Mariah Carey sang about what she wanted for Christmas. I didn't want anything anymore, just the truth. And maybe starting tomorrow I'd go find it. I don't clearly remember what food was in that aluminum tray. Maybe turkey, maybe mashed potatoes. But the taste was indistinct. Everything was bland. I sat in the car, light from the porch spilling through the glass, casting a faint, invisible shadow of me, like my presence in this family. All I want for Christmas is you played for the third time. Part of me wanted to turn off the radio, but part of me felt it was right. I once thought I wanted family. Not gifts, not festivities, but a place to belong. Clearly, they didn't need me. They just needed my card. I opened my phone. Not to escape, but to check the numbers. Something in me was shifting, partly from pain, partly because I needed a reason not to go back inside and pretend I wasn't hurt. The banking app opened. The screen glowed in the dark car. The first line appeared, family rent, 1/200 hours, last sent deck 5. Then tuition James, 320 hours, then Cara Medical, 230 hours. I scrolled on, electric bill, Nova insurance, parents' car, Amazon gift cards, Cara. Each line was a reminder of sacrifice, of the role they assigned me, not daughter, not sister, but silent sponsor. An anonymous benefactor. I moved my finger to the bottom of the app to recurring transfers. The list was as long as a quarterly report. I counted in my head 14 active items. Some I couldn't even remember setting up. When James asked me to cover his fall semester, I thought it was the right thing. He wanted to study. I had the means. I sent it. When Cara said she lost her job's health insurance, I sent it. Mom said Dad's car lost its brakes last year. I transferred $500 immediately. Everything came so fast. No one said I'll pay you back. I didn't ask. I thought that was love. But today that love felt like an unnamed contract I provided they consumed, and no one bothered to remember my name at the table. I pressed and held each recurring transfer. A beep sounded as I selected cancel transfer. Each one felt like cutting a tie binding me to this bizarre system called family. No one called. No one texted. No one asked where I went. It only confirmed they didn't just fail to see me. They didn't need me. I switched to email, found old messages from Mom. Thanks for helping, James. You're a lifesaver. A month later, can you cover the next tuition payment? Your dad just replaced the transmission, we're a bit tight. No thanks for the previous time. Everything felt like a given. I opened my laptop, placed it on my lap. The Wi-Fi still connected from the house. I created a new spreadsheet, named it Family Audit, Confidential. I went back month by month, listing every expense. Each row was a truth I'd never spoken. March 7:50, emergency flight for Cara. May $100, James's textbooks and new laptop. July 900, Mom's roof repair, actually a new chandelier. I started categorizing essential luxury disguised as urgent. Some weren't help, but spending by proxy. 22 months, nearly $50,000. Not once was I invited to dinner because you've helped so much. Not one birthday celebrated for me after I turned 28. They thought because I was fine, I didn't need love. But I wasn't fine. I was just good at enduring. I added a note to the spreadsheet, no further financial support from 12/25 onward. A separate line, reclaim assets, close sub-accounts. Then my phone lit up. A text from Cara. You're still covering half the rent this month, right? I'm late on my paycheck. I stared at it for a few seconds. Didn't reply. I opened the banking app, went to shared accounts, selected freeze access. Each action wasn't from anger, but from reason I needed to retreat before I was depleted. I thought of Mom's words, bring some Christmas spirit. They didn't know I'd brought my spirit, my hope, the best parts of me, and they returned it with a tray of leftovers. I returned to the spreadsheet. Added a line, Emily, net contributor, unacknowledged. I didn't need anyone to see that spreadsheet, but I needed to see it myself. To remind me I wasn't imagining the injustices. I'd lived them, endured them, and now I was seeing clearly. On the laptop screen, I added a tab, Evidence. I downloaded screenshots of receipts, transfer confirmations, tuition payments. Each item in its own cell with dates and reasons. I wasn't sure what I'd do with them, but instinct told me I'd need proof someday. They didn't lie out of malice. They lied because they were too used to my silence. Outside, snow began to fall. The first flakes melted quickly on the windshield, but I no longer felt cold. I felt clear. For the first time in a long time, I didn't feel guilty saying enough. My phone buzzed again. James called. I didn't answer. He left a voicemail, his tone mocking. Mom said you're mad about Ethan, chill. You know he's smooth talking. We're not up to anything. I deleted it immediately. I didn't need explanations. I needed distance. When the car clock ticked to 11:00 p.m., I was done. All support canceled. All access revoked. Documents saved, encrypted with a private password. I named the folder 2021-2023, full log, private. I leaned back, closed my eyes. Silent Night played softly. I wasn't sleepy. I was at peace. I knew I'd done what I should have done long ago, cut off the role of anonymous sponsor, and for the first time I thought about retracting the greatest gift I'd ever given them, my trust. I didn't know how they'd react when they realized it was all gone, but I knew from this moment the game had changed. If there was a moment that made me truly understand that my family wasn't just thoughtless, but deliberately betrayed me, it was 6:17 a.m. on December 25th. My phone buzzed twice, a bank notification and a credit app alert. Unusual activity, $3.820, Alpenflog, Panorama Tours, Zermatt, Switzerland. I frowned, half awake, my mind foggy from sleeping fitfully on the couch. I had no plans to travel, certainly not to fund a European Christmas getaway. I opened the app. A string of unfamiliar charges appeared. $1,435, Hotel Bellevue. $978, Glacier Express Rail. $32, cheese fondue dinner. 66, ski lift passes. It wasn't a system error, nor an international hacker enjoying Swiss snow. This was a different kind of violation, organized, familiar, and bearing my signature. I checked the emails linked to the transactions. Every ticket, every confirmation was sent to a familiar address, james.palmer94ace, the same email James used when I bought his college textbooks. But this time, the login IP was from Europe. I scrolled to the details, booking names, passport numbers, card numbers, all mine. Even the passport scan I'd saved in Drive for Emergencies was used. I couldn't breathe. A chill ran down my spine, not from the weather, but from the truth. I wasn't just excluded. I was funding the vacation of people who erased my name from the dinner table. I checked Instagram. Mom's account posted a story, a wine glass against snowy peaks, captioned, "Living the Dream, Warisher's Family Time." An hour later, Aunt Melissa posted a photo of James and a girl, face unclear, on a cable car, the Alps in the background. In the windshield's reflection was the scarf I'd bought Ethan 3 winters ago. They weren't just together, they were celebrating. In my name. I opened my laptop, logged into the bank and booking systems. Without waiting another second, I acted. Froze all credit cards and linked sub-accounts. Canceled unused electronic boarding passes. Called the hotel to cancel bookings reporting financial fraud. Notified Glacier Express tickets booked with misused identity and passport. Logged the issue fraud alert. Family misuse pending legal action. Finally, I sent an email to 3 addresses: Mom, James, and Ethan. Subject: unauthorized use. Total $8,700. 3 lines. Transactions made in my name and assets over the past 3 days have been traced. Estimated damage $8,700. I demand full repayment. No response by December 30th. I will pursue legal action. I hit send. The feeling was strange, not anger, not pain, but a ruthless calm of someone who'd forgiven too much and had nothing left to lose. Hours later, the bank called. They confirmed the charges occurred while James was logged in with an email used in prior family transactions. I clarified I didn't authorize this. I request an internal investigation. That afternoon, James texted, "Bro, it's a misunderstanding. Ethan booked it, not me." Then another, "You're overreacting. Everyone's enjoying you, want to ruin it." I didn't reply. I screenshot the texts, saved them to Family Audit, confidential tagged evidence, initial phase. On the 26th, the hotel confirmed the cancellation. The booking app reported the Glacier Express tickets were revoked, QR codes disabled at the gate. Part of me felt vindicated. Part of me felt empty. On social media, James posted a new story, when a vacation turns into a series of surprises. In the background, Mom was arguing on the phone while Ethan dragged a suitcase with a broken wheel. I realized they didn't yet grasp this wasn't a tantrum. This was a severance. That night, I didn't sleep. I sat at my laptop, extracting every document from Drive. I found the lease agreement Kara had me co-sign, the tuition statements James had temporarily routed to my account. A pile of papers they used to lean on me, hiding that I was the one behind it all. I created a new folder, Legal Kit, Family Misuse. I didn't know if I'd sue, but I needed to be ready. On the 27th, an email from Ethan arrived. "I didn't think it'd get this serious. Your mom said I just needed to help book." I didn't touch the card. A perfect deflection. No apology. No accountability. Just pulling his hand from the fire before it burned. I forwarded it to a lawyer friend, subject third-party involvement. Ethan Palmer, pending fraud case. That afternoon, I called the bank requesting to lock James's access to the shared education account. The agent asked why. I said simply, impersonation, misuse, breach of security. The bank's security officer paused, then said, We'll start the investigation process. You'll need to verify all assets in your name from the past 3 years. I nodded, feeling like I'd entered a version of family that wasn't kin anymore, but people I had to defend against. On the 28th, no emails from Ethan James or Mom. Instead, a bank message completed freezing 6 sub-accounts, confirmed full ownership restored to Emily Palmer. A simple step, but it meant from now on, none of them could use my name. I sat in my small apartment staring at a screen full of documents, receipts, screenshots, chats, authorizations, and pleas for help. All shared one thing my name used without ever asking if I wanted to give it. I didn't cry. I didn't rage. I felt lighter. Because at last I was reclaiming what no one should have taken my right to define myself. The door opened on my second knock. No one was surprised to see me. No one was glad. Mom stood at the door like she was greeting a utility inspector, not her daughter. Dad stood a few steps behind in his old sweater, eyes on the floor. No one called my name. I stepped inside. The air carried stale coffee and reheated leftovers from last night's dinner. The house felt familiar, but like a poorly staged play where everyone played the victim. "You don't need to do this," Mom started as I set a document bag on the dining table. "We're all stressed. Everyone makes mistakes." "Mistakes?" I looked at her, voice steady. "A mistake is sending an email to the wrong person. This is abuse, theft, fraud." "Don't exaggerate." James cut in from the living room holding a glass of water, his tone tired and defensive. "You're making things messier." I opened the bag, pulled out 3 printed folders neatly clipped. I slid one to Mom, one to Dad, one to the empty chair by James. "Here's a detailed record of what I've transferred to this family over 2 years," I said, clearly word by word. From James's tuition, Kara's rent to car insurance, electric bills, even the birthday gifts for Mom, I ordered myself. No one touched the folders. Mom kept her hands in her pockets, staring at the wall behind me. Dad looked like he might speak, but didn't. "You didn't have to do this," Mom said softly, her voice trembling. "It's all for family. You know that. Family doesn't use my identity to go on vacation. Family doesn't stay silent when I'm erased from the dinner table. It was just a small arrangement," she continued. "Ethan helped with something. You can't let go of a little thing like that." "A little thing," I repeated, my chest tightening. "I was removed from the guest list. My seat was given to someone who betrayed me. And then that person, James, you and Dad, used my personal information for a vacation, without asking, without apologizing. That's little to you. Emily, you're too sensitive." James shook his head. "We all needed a break. Mom just wanted everyone to be happy." I turned to him. "And to be happy, you used my passport and credit card without asking. You booked rooms, tickets, signed documents in my name, even used my stored passport scan. You didn't see anything wrong." "Ethan did most of it," James muttered. "I just went along. And still posted happy Instagram stories," I asked, not needing an answer. I opened a folder, flipped to the middle. Page 6. Fall semester tuition for James Palmer, $310. Mom told Dad relatives helped. Who were they? No one spoke. Page 9. Emergency support. Kara lost her job, $1.200. Mom told relatives a friend helped temporarily. I guess that was relatives too, right? Mom sat down, her face creased. Not from shame, from exhaustion, from being inconvenienced by facing consequences. Emily, Dad spoke, voice soft. "You're the one with means. You always helped. That's normal in a family. But what happens when I stop helping? When I'm just a regular person, no more silent transfers?" I asked, holding his gaze. "Am I still part of this family?" Dad looked at me for a long time, then dropped his eyes. "I've canceled all support," I continued. "All account access apps, co-signing rights, everything. I'm no longer this family's anonymous provider." James exhaled like he'd been sentenced. Mom froze for a moment, then said sharper, "What do you want from this? An apology? A hug? A makeup dinner? Or just to shame us?" I closed the folder. No one needs to feel shame. I just want the truth acknowledged at least once. "It's not worth breaking, the family." Mom's voice was almost a whisper, like she was pleading for a lighter sentence. I stood. Families don't break from truth. Families break from lies kept too long. I walked to the door. Dad stepped forward, hand half raised as if to stop me, but it fell to his side. No one stopped me. No one called my name. I looked back one last time. At 3 people, once my anchor, now stranger than ever. Not because they changed, but because I saw clearly. When the door closed behind me, the early winter wind slipped through my collar, making me shiver. But I wasn't cold. I was free. I didn't know if I'd still be called daughter, sister, or family after that confrontation. But I knew one thing from now on: I'd define myself, not the roles others placed on me. I'd grown used to the quiet of my small San Francisco apartment. But on January 2nd, that quiet cracked. A faint sound came from the door, a hesitant knock, not the neighbor or the usual mailman. I opened it and found a square cardboard box carefully placed on the doormat. No sender label, no recipient name, just faint ink, Emily Palmer, apartment 12C. I brought the box inside. It was light. Nothing rattled. I set it on the dining table, sat down, and stared at it for nearly 5 minutes. I'd had enough half-deleted excuses, vague texts, and deflections from my family to expect nothing from them. But this box wasn't rushed. It was silent, and that made me wary. Opening the lid, I found a layer of old newspaper. Beneath it, in a faded velvet pouch, was my grandfather's pocket watch, the one he carried his whole life, the one he said he'd pass to the family member who understands the value of time, not just spends it. I thought it was lost when he died. I opened the watch. The hands no longer moved, but the face gleamed like new, and the engraving on the back was intact, for those who know how to wait. I held my breath. Under the watch was a thin, unsealed envelope with a folded handwritten note. I recognized Dad's handwriting, instantly slanted like someone hesitant to speak their truth. I opened it. Emily, I'm not sure you'll want to read anything from me anymore. And I understand. I've been silent too long, not because I didn't know, but because I didn't know where to start. You don't need explanations. You need truth. Here's the truth. I knew everything you did for the family. I knew James's tuition came from you. I knew you paid for the car repairs, the rent, even the times Mom said a distant relative helped. There was no one distant. It was always you, quietly never asking back. I'm not a good father. There were times I saw the unfairness, the exploitation, and I chose silence. I told myself it was family balance, the sacrifice of the successful child. But really, I was just a coward. Your mother is strong, you know that. She's used to directing, to holding the reins. And I'm used to avoiding conflict. I thought keeping the house peaceful mattered more than standing for the truth. But looking back, I didn't protect you. Not once. I sold this watch, the only keepsake I had from your grandfather, to repay a fraction of what you've given. But you know it's not about the money. It's about trust. About acknowledgement you deserved long ago. Don't forgive if you're not ready. I'm not writing to be welcomed back. I just want you to know at least one person in this family truly saw you. Dad. I didn't realize I was crying until a tear fell on the watch, blurring its stilled face. I didn't know what made me cry, the raw honesty without excuses, or the feeling that someone finally stood up and called things by their name. In the months past, I'd learned to gather evidence, draft warning emails, secure accounts, even prepare legal documents. But I wasn't prepared for a letter like this, an apology without deflections, without blaming circumstances, without hiding behind family love. I sat in silence for a long time. The apartment seemed to pause with the watch in my hand. Each scratch on its cover, each crease in the paper was a piece of the truth I'd waited for. Not to feel loved, but to be seen. I placed the watch on the bookshelf, touching it lightly, like touching an old promise. I didn't know if I should write back. Didn't know if I should call or text Dad. But I knew one thing: I wouldn't call the lawyer as planned. Not because I forgave, but because I wanted to pause the cold cycle of confrontation. I opened my laptop, navigated to Legal Kit, Family Misuse. I moved it to an external drive and locked it in a drawer. Not deleted. Just out of sight, within memory's reach. Outside San Francisco was still cold, but the sun was up. I opened the window, took a deep breath. Maybe I wasn't ready to return. Maybe there were still things unsaid. But today, I knew I wasn't alone among transfers and denials. I won't forgive because someone begs. I'll forgive if I want, when I want. But if forgiveness comes, it'll start here, from a stilled watch and a father who finally spoke the truth. I didn't write a handwritten letter like Dad. I'm not good at sitting under a yellow lamp penning words like a confession. I don't believe in warm, neatly tied endings. But on January 5th, I opened my laptop and wrote a short email to the address saved as Dad. Personal. Subject: thanks. Just a few lines. Thanks for the watch. Thanks for seeing me. I'm not ready for a call, but I know the letter was real. No apologies, no promises, no signature. Just hit send and let it go like faint smoke. I didn't need a reply. I didn't expect it to spark reconciliation. It was just something that needed acknowledgement. A statement sent without needing a response. I stood up, opened the window to let the early breeze fill the apartment. The house was quieter than usual, maybe because I was too. A quiet not of escape, but of choice. I chose to live in a silence I designed free from unasked duties and one-sided love wrapped in obligation. That morning I did something I'd planned to delay, closed all old accounts, bank, shared expense apps, family management tools I'd been pulled into not as a member, but as a default guarantor. I called the telecom company, requested a new number, reason the agent asked. I thought for a moment, then said I need a fresh start. I opened Drive, dragged Family Audit to an external drive, locked it with a password only I knew, not deleted, but stored, like a memory, not beautiful, but real. The last thing I did was log into Grandpa's estate system, the small wooden cabin by Lake Tahoe, where we vacationed when I was 6. Back then it was our kingdom, me, James Kara, and Grandpa, who never raised his voice, but always remembered the foods I hated. He promised the cabin would go to the one who could keep its quiet. Mom thought it was about taking charge, but now I think I understand. I changed the door code, updated the deed to my name only, revoked Mom's access for maintenance scheduling. I saved every change, then closed the laptop. No anger, no sighs, just another cleanup of something that was never theirs. That afternoon I stepped out for the first time since the holidays. San Francisco's sky was a rare clear blue. I walked to a community center I'd read about, a place offering scholarships for kids in need, kids with no one to back them like I once was. I spoke to the program coordinator. I wanted to fund a small annual scholarship named Grandpa's Legacy. No need for my name. Just his, the only one who made me feel I belonged without proving anything. Why that name? The woman at the desk asked. Because my grandfather taught me the value of silence, I said. And because he never took anything from me to earn his love. That evening I came home, turned on the soft yellow light, brewed a cup of tea, took the pocket watch from the shelf, set it on the table. Its face still didn't tick. The hands stayed still, a reminder not everything needs fixing. Some things should stay as they are to remind us why we left. I wasn't angry anymore, but I wasn't waiting either. Not for James's apology, not for Mom's call, not for a reunion dinner where everyone pretends nothing happened. I sat on the couch looking out at the city. The flickering lights of cars below flowed like memories streaming toward me, then passing by. I took a piece of paper, wrote one line, and taped it inside the fridge door. I don't need my old family to know my worth. And I believed it. For the first time, not to prove, not to fight, but because I saw myself clearly wholly. No one enters your life twice the same. But some like me learn we can walk away from theirs without leaving a void. This story doesn't end in tears or embraces. It ends with a sentence I whispered to myself. I don't need forgiveness. I just need to be free. My story isn't a tragedy, but a journey to reclaim self-worth, not through revenge, but through awakening. I learned that not every hurt needs forgiveness to heal. Sometimes what we need is to be seen, acknowledged, and to have the right to say enough. Through each chapter, I hope you feel a piece of yourself, whether you've sacrificed in silence or are finding your way out of a role others imposed. The greatest value of this story isn't in the hurts, but in the ability to stand, walk away, and build a life, no longer dependent on validation from those who don't deserve it. If you see yourself in this story, don't hesitate to share your thoughts below. Follow for more honest journeys where emotions are always worth hearing. Thank you for joining me, and if you need to hear this, you are enough, even if they don't see it.